Dupri on Sexyy Red's album selling 28,000 copies. So let's see what he said.
Industry still trying to make you believe that if if you're a hot artist and you got a single, that selling albums don't matter, right? I'm only
selling albums don't matter.
Yeah, I'm only bringing this up because I seen like academics posted today something about Sexyy Red album only doing 28,000 copies, right? In the era that I came in the music industry, if you sold 28,000 copies, you didn't get no other chance to even walk in the building again.
You're fired.
Like niggas was not talking to you if you sold 28,000 records, right? And I feel like it's such a disconnect between people understanding the streaming situation and then actually what you're looking at, right? Because if we should be only paying attention to the streaming numbers, then I don't understand why the blogs always try to post what people are selling as an album. Because for people that look at music the way I look at it, it feels like a failure. It still feels like a failure, right? Because I come from an era where the numbers were 80,000, 100, 200, 900, right? Mm-hmm. You start going that's going this way, it feels like it's going backwards to me. And I'm just saying, because I was a part of the boom.
So you think that the number itself is representative of the impact for real?
Yes, 100%.
Because I actually believe that the streaming numbers is so fucked up. If the streaming numbers don't even have a relationship to how many times people really listen to the music, from a standpoint of, like, if I listen to an album that I love 30 times, I don't know how many streams that would count to today. But people have the music on repeat nonstop. And the streaming numbers, when you look at the album equivalent, it doesn't even add up. Like if you have 28 million, whatever, the equivalent of 28,000 sales, I have no idea how many listens that equals to. But if you were to buy the CD back in the days, it would be a lot more than 28,000. So the numbers are all fucked up. The streaming numbers don't represent the level of impact that the music is making, because 28,000 CDs, that would be horrible. But 28,000 streams is like 600 million listens for all I know. You agree?
Yeah, I'm so happy that Steve Stoute was there to correct to Jermaine Dupri, because I was listening to that take and I was getting hot. I was like, it's crazy. You're a legend. You're a pioneer. You made great music. You did Crisscross. You did The Brat. You did Bow Wow. You did Jagged Edge. Amazing. But big dogs, you don't understand how the industry works. You talking about your era and a whole nother era. You don't even understand what you're saying. And then Steve Stoute came in and just said it for him. And I'm really happy that Steve Stoute was in there. Steve Stoute is one of hip hop's greatest minds, one of the sneakiest, slimiest people you'll ever read about, but one of the greatest minds.
Greatest minds are usually the sneakiest and the slimiest. I agree. I will say at first listening to it, I guess it was the sense of nostalgia, like, where it's like, I remember those days of, the CDs and what your album sales were and things like that. But I do think that streaming is just as representative of impact as the album sales were of that time, because it took effort to go get that music, you know what I mean? So now it doesn't take as much effort, but you see the dedication to the person's music.
And you're talking about a slew of different things that have changed. Like, first of all, back in the day, the only people that really, really could drop for real was major labels. Yeah, you have independents, and they would drop it through independent labels, but you weren't getting independent records at the Wiz, at Best Buy, at Circuit City, at Sam Goody's. You're not getting independent. You had to go to Fat Beats, you had to go to Beat Street to go get the Marco Polo album. You know what I mean? You wasn't gonna get that at Circuit City or at Best Buy. So, like, first of all, and Virgin Records, all that, Tower Records, you had to be you had to be distributed by a major. That's the first part. And then the second part was way more limited who could come out. It was only a certain amount of artists that was coming out, so it was a smaller pieces of the pie. I mean, bigger pieces of the pie were being distributed, and then rap was at the absolute biggest when you had Bow Wow. Everybody was going platinum back. Everybody was going 4, 5, 6 times platinum, and everybody had their own label. You had So Def, you had Bad Boys, you had Disturb the Peace, you had Rough Riders, you had the Saint Lunatics. Everybody was going crazy. They was doing numbers. And then you don't even understand how we account for streaming today. So that aside, the fact that was the pie was bigger, people just had less access to entertainment, period. You know, today I just get on here. I could watch a movie. I could watch a show. I could watch my favorite blogger's life. I could just spy on all my friends. I could talk to my friends. I could FaceTime. I have less things to do. Back in the day, when I'm on the train, all I could do was put a tape in my Walkman or a CD in my CD player. So I had to go get one. Like, you don't know what what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I bet you don't even know how they account a stream because it's what Steve Stoute is right. If I play a record one time that doesn't equate, if I forget what it is, but I gotta play a record a crazy amount of times for it to equal one purchase. That's not the artist's fault that the medium changed. It's not the artist's fault that Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal run the game, so the rates that they give you back for album sales are crap.
Yeah.
So that they could pay you pennies. That's not the artist's fault. I'm just saying, like,
Tidal is still around.
I mean, JD, you put out an album, you'll do like 20K too, and you'll be like, "Well, I didn't do that." Yeah, because the times have changed.
So, it's interesting you brought up like the whole major label thing and all that stuff. What's interesting is that JD is probably speaking from the only perspective that he knows, which is the major label, the CEO type of guy, you know what I mean, like the album sale individual. You know what I mean?
This is insane.
He represents that.
1,500 streams equals one album sale.
Dang, dude. Oh my gosh. Bro, that's insane.
I think that I sympathize a little more with JD's side of things. I think it's just a tall tale sign of how separate the old school is with the new school, if you will. Like this old era with the new era, like it's so far removed from each other. Even in sales. Like we were supposed to talk about Method Man and Summer Jam and all of that stuff, and how now he doesn't want to perform anymore because the crowd is different. It's the same. And even that, but I realize how deep that is, bro. Like everything is not the same anymore. And I don't think that, just like how it's almost like this conversation between the boomers and millennials and Gen Z. Like, oh, all we had to do was do this, that, and the third, and we got a loan for a house back then, and then I had to work so hard, and this and the third. While the millennials is kind of like arguing back with them, and no one is finding a middle ground as to what changed. And it's not the generations that changed. It's the amount of cost it is for a house, the amount of cost it is to run a family. Joe, wake up. The cost of it to run a family, all of those things, right? It's the same concept with this new era and this old era. It's like no one really knows how to converse with each other and understand, like, it took a lot of hard work to get 100,000 copies sold back then, as opposed to like the Sexyy Reds of today, who's making 28K, but streaming wise, they're playing their music like wildfire. People need so there's got to be some sort of like person, maybe a Steve Stoute that could kind of merge this together to be able to do this each one teach one, help each other out type of thing. So that way all artists can eat in some way, shape, or form. But I say that, and I feel like that's never really gonna happen anyway. So
Steve Stoute is one of those dudes who would rather make more money for himself than help other artists.
again, I just think that when it comes down to it, there's got to be some way, somehow, somebody has to be that person to kind of, because there's no disrespect.
Juice made the math because I was trying to do it in my head and I couldn't. To put it in perspective, 28,000 album sales of pure digital album sales is 20 million streams. What's really happening is modern artists are getting robbed.
Yeah, that's what's really happening. And I feel like the older artists need to kind of figure out how they can be able to utilize their business prowess to get these people like Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, and all of them to stop cheating them of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean. Like there's also this disrespect that the newer generation kind of gives to the older generation, and vice versa, the older generation to the newer generation. Like there's got to be some balance somewhere. You know what I mean? Like for instance, Jermaine Dupri making this complaint, instead of him complaining about this whole situation, he could have gone to Sexyy Red and be like, "Yo, let's collab and let's see what we could do to talk to Spotify about working out some sort of deal that could be able to open up more opportunities for you to get a better bang for your buck." Like, there's got to be a way to figure that out. And if you put your heads together to make it happen, then let's make it happen. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I digress.